tolerance policy for Jeep Weekend 2026. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Lisa Gray, the op-ed editor at the Houston Chronicle. We'll also talk with a researcher at the National Center for Airborne Laser Mapping, who'll discuss the use of AI in flood mapping.
Plus, Houston-based chef and TV host Chris Shepard tells us all about his new live conversation series, Breaking Bread, which is being presented at the Hobby Center.
And, as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The United Arab Emirates says it is actively engaging with missile and drone attacks from Iran. Meanwhile, the U.S. has attempted to end Iran's hold on the Strait of Hormuz by creating an enhanced security area, prompting new warnings from the Iranian government. Still, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Dan Kane say the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is still holding. NPR's Greg Myrie with Hegseth's and Kane's latest update from the Pentagon this morning.
They said the shooting yesterday was below the threshold of resuming combat operations. And they said, though, that the first day of this operation showed that the U.S., not Iran, controls the strait, that the U.S. blockade is holding while Iran's is not. No new clashes have been reported today. However, no additional commercial ships have gone through the strait.
NPR's Greg Myrie reporting. There's a test of President Trump's power of political retribution playing out in an unexpected place. Half a dozen Indiana state Senate primaries. NPR's Tamara Keith reports a voting ends today.
President Trump said the Republican state senators who rejected his push for new congressional maps should be ashamed of themselves. Then he and his political allies worked to recruit challengers and have dumped millions of dollars into the races. Republican state Senator Spencer Deery is one of the targeted incumbents.
You've seen it at the national level, but I think what is unprecedented is at the local level. To my knowledge, there has never been an election in our nation's history where you have Washington, D.C. meddling this much in a systematic way across a state.
A political advisor to President Trump tells NPR these incumbents are headed to their, quote, political slaughter. Tamara Keith, NPR News.
In Ohio, voters are deciding competitive primary races for the U.S. Senate and House, and Michigan residents will determine the outcome of a special election and control of the state Senate. A new proposal to manage water from the Colorado River would make it much easier for cities in Arizona to tolerate cuts to their water supply. KJZZ's Alex Hager reports the plan was co-signed by Arizona, California, and Nevada.
Those states would leave water in the Colorado River as part of an effort to prop up dangerously low reservoirs. Arizona would still have to take cuts, but they would not be as deep as suggested in a previous plan. Patrick Dent is with the Central Arizona Project, which brings Colorado River water to the Phoenix area.
It's the difference between devastating, impossible to manage cuts that would have real impacts on some of those communities' residents to something that's manageable.
The plan would still need approval from federal water managers, but they appear likely to pass at least parts of the new proposal. For NPR News, I'm Alex Hager in Phoenix.
It's NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. Gas prices are climbing significantly again. The average for a gallon of regular gas now $3.96 in Houston, according to AAA. That's a 5-cent increase from Monday and over a 20-cent increase compared to a week ago. The price of fuel had stopped rising for a short period last month and was actually coming down. But escalating tensions in the Middle East are continuing to get us closer to averaging $4 a gallon for regular in Houston. 2 Harris County Precinct 4 officers are providing hundreds of portable AC units to eligible seniors and low-income families ahead of the summer. News 88.7's Sarah Grunow says applications for the program open up on Monday.
Commissioner Leslie Briones' office is giving out 300 portable AC units for qualifying seniors, families, and veterans. It's part of an initiative launched by the office last year. During a press conference on Monday, Briones said there were more than 7,500 heat-related illnesses from 2019 to 2023 in Harris County. Leah Barton, the executive director of Harris County Public Health, encouraged residents to stay hydrated and limit outdoor activities during peak afternoon hours over the summer.
Excessive heat is a pressing public health issue that disproportionately affects our most vulnerable community members. By staying informed, taking preventive action, and supporting community initiatives like this one, we can reduce our risk and save lives.
Applications for the program will remain open from Monday until May 29th. I'm Sarah Grunow, News 88.7.
In sports, well, the Astros lost one to the Los Angeles Dodgers 8-3 last night. They'll go at it again tonight at Daikin Park, first pitch at 7:10. Checking your weather, partly sunny today with a high of 85. Cloudy tonight, a low of 75. Right now, mostly cloudy, 78 degrees on the UH campus. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive. Progressive Commercial Auto Insurance protects the vehicles that work to keep small businesses moving forward, including protection while running errands and other tasks. At progressivecommercial.com.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston.
Well, hello there, Houston.
Good morning, Ernie.
Good morning to Lisa Gray. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing well myself. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy it's Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, you have plans?
No.
Ernie.
I've been battling a cold for the last couple days.
Margaritas are full of vitamin C.
Oh, well,
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So for folks who are saying, Lisa Gray, yeah, I'm familiar with hearing you on Houston Matters with Craig Cohen. Who are you and why are you sitting in with Ernie today? I'll let you answer those questions.
My normal job is that I'm the op-ed editor of the Houston Chronicle. I'm a journalist from Houston for a long time, and because I thought it would be fun, I asked if I could do it. I thought you might have an opening.
Well, and I just want to put out there, just because you ask because you want to do it doesn't mean you can do it.
I asked nicely.
It's because you bring a storied career of being a voice here in Houston and a welcome point of view on our program.
Aw.
It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's really fun to be here.
I want to tell you, we've got a lot more coming up on today's show. Yesterday, Michael Atkinson was sitting in with us, and he and I spent a lot of time chit-chatting about the Met Gala, which isn't something I really get carried away with. But he got me excited about, so I had to go home and watch it last night. And on YouTube, they streamed it. Did you watch? Did you look at any of the clothes?
I looked at the pictures this morning.
And
Beyonce, as always, is the queen. And she brought Blue Ivy, who is got to be the world's coolest teenager now.
I want to make some joke about Bonanse because she had that whole bone structured thing. You hear
skeleton
about,
thing? Yeah.
I think back to the movie, is it The Women, and they're doing a fashion show, and the woman comes out in a corset, and she was like, zips up the back and no bones. And I'm thinking, well, that's the opposite of what Beyonce did. It was all bones. And I thought it was a cool look.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Nothing I'd ever seen before.
If you're a regular on the show, you would know I am a huge fan of Cher. I was disappointed in Cher's look because she's Cher, and what she wore besides the length of her trail, I thought looked like something she would wear to the grocery store. She's Cher. I expect Cherism.
To bring it.
Yeah, they had some nod. They said it was a nod to her early mid-70s look that was the first like big nude illusion look that was on the cover of Time magazine and all that stuff that looked like she was dripping wet with little feathers at the bottom. Bob Mackie kind of created that whole look that now everyone wears. But
go ahead and tell me you don't watch the Met Gala every year, Ernie.
I don't.
You don't.
I
You
don't
follow this stuff. Surely you don't.
But
All
looking
right.
at that outfit, I was like, I don't see the nod to her earlier outfit either. What I saw, I was getting a bit obsessed yesterday, and I saw the video of her leaving her hotel in the outfit, and she was staying at the Carlisle, and I thought to myself, well, she's going to change for sure when she gets to the Met Gala. And she did. There was no wacky headdress. I mean, Madonna brought the crazy. For those of you who didn't watch it, I'm going to stop talking about it now because you have no points of reference. But we are going to move on into today's show. We have a lot going on today. We're going to find out, we have a really cool story about, we're talking about mapping and flooding and all of that. And then we also have been talking a lot about AI. Well, they're going to meet. How can AI and all of that information truly help us better understand flooding maps and the data that has been gathered? And can it really help us out in this area? We're going to look into that and find out more on that coming up. We're going to celebrate an anniversary, a 30th anniversary, and we're not talking about mine. We're talking about notsuoH, a wonderful find in Houston, and we'll be taking a peek at that and what's going on there. A whole lot more on today's show, but as always, we love to begin with the news of the day. Lisa, take it away.
All right. First up, Jeep Weekend. Tourist season in Galveston County kicks off May 14th through 16th with a bang that not everybody appreciates. Jeep Weekend, also known as Topless Weekend, brings a rowdy bunch of Jeep owners and others to Bolivar Peninsula. The weekend has been an annual gathering since around 2014, and previous years brought loads of arrests as well as shootings and even fatalities. This year, Galveston Sheriff's Office has already declared there will be zero tolerance for Jeep Weekend hijinks. So, what do y'all think? Let us know. Do you attend Jeep Weekend? Do you think the Sheriff's Office is right to crack down on it? Give us a call, 713-440-8870.
It is a fascinating event. I have been there before, but not to go to Jeep Weekend. I've been there getting on a cruise ship or getting off a cruise ship. And I mention that because when you're sitting there on the deck of the ship and you look out at the island there, because you have a really unique perspective, I was amazed how packed it was with Jeeps and the people and all of that. Then you hear year in and year out the issues, the problems, the concerns that happen. I think in today's day and age, you got to have zero tolerance for for rowdy behavior, because rowdy behavior in enclosed spaces, and Galveston's a pretty much tight packed space, things can escalate way too quickly. And in today's day and age, I'm all for it. Any kind of misbehaving, any kind of rowdiness, you got to stop.
Well, especially if it has a history of escalating into violence, you can't do it. I also think it's wild that it's on Bolivar Peninsula. Like, that's where I go to get away from the loudness of Galveston. I want to go visit the birds. You know?
And I know I'm saying Galveston because it backs up into Galveston and they move through it.
Yeah.
But have you been? Have you seen problems, concerns, issues with it? Give us a call. We'd love to hear what you think of Jeep. Are you going? Are you attending? 713-440-8870. I just find that the way things have escalated in our communities in today's day and age, and then you get into firearm carrying and all of that, it bothers me on a personal level when too many people are packed together for anything these days. I just think my mind goes to rats in a cage, and too many of them, something's going to happen. But you got to be able to celebrate. You've got to be able to do things. You've got to be able to go out. And so security and zero tolerance, I think it's all part of one of the same things that we have to worry about.
I mean, it's tricky because the beaches are public, and I think that is sacred in Texas. You got to keep those beaches open to the public. But at the same time, the public has to obey laws.
Yep, we have some comments coming in. My British computer guy writes, those Jeep folks are pretty rowdy. Wasn't it last year they cracked down? I don't recall hearing much negative press from the last one. Good point, that maybe, you still want to allow people to gather and celebrate, and maybe the crackdown still allows celebration, but with a bit of safety.
Yeah, like I think last time they said you had to drive up and down the beach, but you couldn't get out and park your Jeep on the beach to party. So like there was stuff like that made it safer.
Doris writes, and so glad the Jeep weekend is after the Galvin Historic Homes Tour this weekend.
Oh.
I think that was more a plug for the Historic Homes Tour. And that's a great thing. I did that last year. I did the Historic Homes Tour. And it's really kind of cool to see these homes and what they've done and how they upgrade them or how they preserve them. I also have to mention one other thing that came in. Lisa, this is about you.
Uh-oh.
Lisa is Houston journalism royalty. Her editorial board won the Pulitzer Prize for editorial writing in 2025. We YouTubers welcome her enthusiastically.
Oh, wow.
How's that? You buried the lead.
Is that by one of my editorial board fellow workers?
Thank you. The check
Yeah.
is in the mail. Also, Lisa is one of my H-Town fave journalists. Blue hair? Question mark? You go, girl.
Dang straight. It's a desperate plea for attention.
For those who aren't watching on YouTube, you aren't seeing the wonderful hue of her hair for our YouTubers. There you go.
It's a light denim blue.
So why the blue?
Why not?
No,
You know, blue looks good on me.
So you just thought, I'm going to...
Well, my hair's been going white.
Yeah.
And what that means is you don't have to bleach it. If you want to have fun, you can just go for
have
it.
fun with it. Go with it. Okay,
Yeah.
on to our next story, which makes me extremely excited. So, and continue to share your thoughts and comments about Jeep Weekend. We'd love to hear from you, 713-440-8870. This gets me excited. Some of America's founding documents are coming to Houston, and what could be a once-in-a-lifetime viewing for many Houstonians. 9 historic records, part of our national treasure, is making a tour for the 25th anniversary of our great country. They'll be on display May 9th through the 25th at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. The traveling exhibit brings rare documents out of Washington, giving the public a chance to see them up close. And, best part, admission is free.
Ooh.
But tickets are first come, first serve at the door. The stop in Houston is only one of a handful nationwide as part of the country's, let's see if I get this right, semi-quincentennial celebration.
That's what you call 250th.
Yes.
Okay.
Of the documents that are coming, there's a secret draft of the Constitution from 1787.
Oh.
There's George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, and Aaron Burr's oaths of allegiance to the Continental Army from 1778, and the Treaty of Paris from 1783. Noah writes in our YouTube chat over on YouTube, woo, documents. I'm not sure if he's excited about them or mocking me, but I am thrilled about them. Noah,
Okay.
you gotta clarify.
So
there.
which one do you really want to see, Ernie? Do you have a favorite?
Having seen a earlier print of the Declaration, having seen the Constitution, all of these fall in line with me. I'd like to see the secret draft of the Constitution. My problem is I want to be able to read the documents, and I can't read what they've written.
Oh, you can't do the
penmanship and what they're,
thing.
it gets too far. But they often have a translation right next to it, so I'm like, oh, that's what it actually says. In typeface, I can read. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a Are you a document person like me?
I can be. I want to know what was going on with that secret draft. Like,
what did they have in
what
it
did
before
want?
they
Were
said
there-
they didn't?
Yeah. Like,
Which is interesting because whenever we have a court before the or case before the Supreme Court, they're looking at Constitution, at legacy writings, and the intent of what they meant by the statement they put. And oftentimes there's two different schools of thought. Is it intent or is it what the actual words say? We go back and forth there. But having earlier drafts of something often helps you understand their frame of mind, what their intent was. But you can't overinterpret that because if that was a draft and it doesn't survive to the final document, why not? Was it that isn't what they really wanted to say, or they felt that was the wrong direction? I'm just,
and I assume there was a lot of argument going on behind the scenes about what gets in, what's not going to happen.
Noah does clarify. No, Ernie, I'm legit stoked. I love history and knowledge. It's getting me pumped. Yes, thank you.
Noah, an archives guy.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking very forward to seeing these. Are you going to go take a look? Have you seen a piece of history up close and in person that then changed your connection with that? Does seeing the actual document change you a little bit? It does for me.
Yeah.
713-440-8870. Not a good example, but I'll give it anyway. I'm a huge Andy Warhol fan, and I love his artwork. And when I was in Chicago, they had a tour that came through of the actual. It's hard to say an original Andy Warhol because they were all silk screened and they were mass produced. But seeing an initial run of one of these pieces of work, they were much larger than I imagined they would be for the most part.
Yeah.
And to see up close, like the brush stroke that went into it, or at least the silkscreen stroking of it, the texture of the piece, made them come alive for me in a very different manner. And I've always enjoyed that. And seeing documents like we're talking about here really does place it in reality, not just a concept you have.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what's going to happen to the stuff we're producing in the future, because so much of what I'm doing is on my laptop.
True.
You know, I don't think anybody's capturing my keystrokes. You can't tell what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know,
and rewrites happen right in the same document. It's not like you see a document and a nice strike line through it and move on. Many, many years ago, I was working with a friend on a musical. And we never did anything with it. But if anyone wants to produce it, I think it has like 42 original songs in it. It's a massive piece. But I kept every single draft of every single thing we did, because in the time we were writing it, and this was 30 years ago, I believed eventually we would get it produced. And I thought, well, you've got to have a record of what you did.
For posterity.
So in my garage, there's a little metal file cabinet that has reams of pages with strikeouts and rewrites and changes and earlier drafts and final. Yeah, so I'm really into all of that kind of stuff. I'm probably boring you folks to tears about this right now, but I just thought that was worth sharing with you. Before we run out of time, any closing thoughts on documents?
Oh, no. Filed, closed.
I also wonder, when you talk about the future, photographs really intrigue me, because we do so many digital now. And if you don't like it, you delete it, or you're curating in a very different way, where in the past, we've talked about this on the show before, you had that roll of 24 or 36 prints, and every one, when it came back, was golden, and you thought about each one you took, and you kept them. Even if you didn't put it in the photo album, it was in a box somewhere.
Right.
Now we dispose of so much. Are we seeing a fake reality, a curated existence?
Well, and do you trust the photos anymore? Because so many of them have been edited.
Don't trust mine. I've had a lot of fun with AI of late, and so my pictures do not at all reflect reality. 713-440-8870. Anything we're talking about is fair game for you to join us. Chris is on the line from Cyprus. Chris, what's on your mind?
Hi. When I went to Washington, D.C., and went to the National Archives, we saw a lot of the historical documents. We saw the Declaration of Independence, and just seeing it in person, it wasn't what I thought it would be. A lot of times you see a reprinted copy of it, the parchment, consistent with color. You could read the writing, and just seeing the actual document, the age, the history, and the mistakes that were on it, it's very worthwhile just actually seeing something that, someone put pen to paper, and you just see, the work and the detail that they put into it. A bit of a side note, there was a second copy of the Declaration of Independence that was presented to England, and their copy is better than the one that's in D.C. And they won't give it back.
That doesn't have the strikeouts. They just copied it.
Well, these days it's good to have a copy around that we can refer to if anything should happen. Chris, thank you very much for calling in and sharing with us. When you see the hand, how did he put it? Pen stroke to paper.
The hand.
It suddenly has a richness to it that reproductions just don't have. So everyone, go out there and see it. It's going to be, when did I say it was going to be? Let me go back to the dates.
May 9th through the 25th.
Thank you for being on top of that.
At the Museum of Natural Science.
Which always brings in wonderful exhibits. Go there, see them, be impressed. Quick reminder right now, I voted yesterday. If you're in District C, the special election is going on to fill that seat. The early voting is going on right now. Vote. And the actual election day is May 16th. And then May 18th, we go into early election for the next election. There's a lot of voting for May. Get out there. Let your voice be heard. That being said, we are going to take a break. When we come back, it's time to combine Airborne Laser Mapping with AI and find out what's going on with our flood maps. That's coming up here on Hello Houston, right here on News 88.7.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
Passport. With a gift of $5 or more per month to Houston Public Media, you'll get access to PBS Passport that lets you watch your favorite programs anytime you want. Support the programs you love and enjoy them on your own schedule with PBS Passport. Make your gift now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Hebrew Union College is the oldest Jewish seminary in the U.S. Now its campus in Cincinnati is shutting down and graduating its last 4 students.
For 150 years, rabbis trained in Cincinnati didn't just pass through. They connected with congregations and our agencies and our schools.
But the school does have other campuses, so it is not shutting down completely. More on All Things Considered from NPR News.
You can hear it today at 3 o'clock.
You can't tackle life's big challenges if you let the little ones get you down. That's why Houston Matters devotes the first Monday of each month to a sort of group moan session we call Houstonian Pet Peeves. It's a communal, cathartic experience, but not everyone can join us live at 9 a.m., and not every peeve occurs to you right then and there. That's okay. We welcome your gripes about life in Houston anytime at talk@houstonmatters.org.
Support comes from the Rowan Foundation, hosting the Boldface Conference for Emerging Writers at the University of Houston, featuring the novelist Ito Romo, May 18th through the 22nd. Registration at boldfaceconference.com.
Support comes from Elmore, communicating with clarity and inspiration, collaborating with executive leadership to create expert internal and external communications strategy. Elmore, listen, clarify, communicate. More at elmorepr.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and guest host Lisa Gray.
She's not today. Oh, flooding is a part of life in Houston. But wouldn't it be great to know which places are most likely to flood? And how to visualize that risk, how it changes over time. Engineers at the University of Houston recently used artificial intelligence to turn decades of paper flood maps into digital data. And today, we've got with us Frank Haces-Garcia, a former University of Houston doctoral student, research assistant at the National Center for Airborne Laser Mapping, and the lead author of a recent flood risk study published in the Journal of Hydrology, Regional Studies. He's here to explain what his team found and what it could mean for how the city approaches flooding in the future. Frank, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me.
All right, if y'all want to join the conversation, call or text 713-440-8870.
And first of all, that's a great title. Must be a very big card. We talk a lot about the flood maps on the show, and we talk a lot about AI. And people often are characterizing AI as this evil villain out there. But there are ways it can be used in really productive, helpful ways. Is that what you folks have found?
Yeah, definitely. I think that across the nation, a lot of research teams, including us, have found that AI can be very helpful to manage flooding, to estimate our flood risk, and to extract more useful data out of the stuff that's available.
Is it mostly the fact of there's so much data that's found, discovered, researched, it can get overwhelming, and for some reason AI has the ability to get in there, clean up the view, and help you folks find what we need to know? Am I looking at this in the right way? Is that how it works?
Part of it is definitely that. The other piece of it as well is that AI has a fantastic ability of letting us know relationships that we hadn't even observed before. So we're actually able not just to implement the data that AI is looking at and producing, but also use AI almost like as a surrogate model. So instead of using what our flood models would conventionally be, some researchers are starting to look at actually using AI to predict flooding directly. And that's pretty useful and powerful as well.
So, okay, what were you doing? What was
so
your
this
study?
is a little bit different. I did some
Yeah.
of the surrogate modeling during my PhD, but the paper that you're talking about is about using AI to extract data from paper maps. The big picture here is that FEMA has been mapping flood risk basically since the 1960s. Unfortunately, a lot of those records are kept in paper, and it's difficult to plot those in a computer. So if you wanted to do that, you would have to manually go paper by paper and try to put that on a computer. we basically just trained an AI framework to take that manual labor out of us. And we're now able to plot all of the data that's in those maps on top of each other and see how flooding has evolved over time.
Wow. And what are you finding? What's changed?
So it's very interesting. A lot of it has changed. A lot of it hasn't. It's I think that one of the most surprising pieces of this research has been how different the changes are across towns. So in some regions, flooding has expanded. In some regions, it actually has contracted. And in some, it hasn't changed. So they say that a good research project asks more questions than it answers. And that's exactly what's going on here. Now, the next question is why? And we're looking into that now.
Okay. So like possible reasons might be because we're doing all sorts of flood work on the bayous and other drainage systems.
Sure, yeah.
It could be that rainfall patterns are changing. What? You don't know, right?
Yeah, like that's the questions that we're trying to answer. And the more likely, I'm going to give you an engineer's answer here.
Oh.
It depends. It depends. There's so many different things that, can influence how flooding works. I wouldn't want to speculate on specific regions or anything like that. But fortunately, we have a lot of very talented engineers and researchers that are looking into this.
Kind of like a negative slant question here, so don't take it that way. How off were we in what we were predicting and thinking and all that before you then add all of this new technology into the mix? Were we missing the point, or were we pretty much on track?
So that's a good question, and I think that asking it gets a little bit away from the point of these maps and estimates. Ultimately, we're not trying to, although now we're moving in that direction, but generally we're not necessarily trying to forecast you will flood or you won't flood. We're trying to say you're more likely to flood. And answering that question has some uncertainty inherent to it. So answering how off were we or how right were we, of course, technology is always evolving and we can get more accurate over time. But ultimately, it's a little bit counterproductive to look at today and say, oh, we were so off 50 years ago. It's not really what we're trying to do here. Ultimately, also, it's very exciting that we now have new data that we can take a look at and say, hey, 50 years ago, we thought it was here. Now we think it is here. So,
okay. Frank, take us to the beginning. So, what problems were you trying to solve when you looked at the decades of paper flood maps?
Yeah, sure. So ultimately, the big context is that flood modeling is challenging. You require a lot of data, a lot of resources, a lot of talented engineers. And unfortunately, it can be very difficult for communities that don't have this sort of funding to do that. So what we wanted to do with these paper maps was use data that was already available and extract it in a useful way. That was really the goal here.
So the paper maps show the historic patterns,
correct,
basically? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And
so
we're just trying to use the past to predict. Well, to figure out the present and predict. You're not predicting yet. I want predictions.
Yeah, unfortunately, predicting is very challenging. Okay. There are teams across the nation that are working on that. But that's not what we were doing in this paper.
In your studies, if I'm correct, you start with the 70s and looking at what we did. And when you layer things up and you look through it, what was surprising you about the change we saw in flooding?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, part of it that was very surprising to me was how varied the change was. In some regions, we saw basically very constant flooding. In some others, we saw very dramatic changes.
Okay, I want specifics. Which regions?
Take us into the neighborhoods.
Come on.
I unfortunately don't want to necessarily get that far into it because there's a lot of research work that's being done and a lot of it would be wrong for me to speculate.
So if I go look it up in the Journal of Hydrology, can I go find it there?
Sure. In that Journal of Hydrology, we looked at 3 case studies. We looked at Maryland, we looked at the 5th Ward area in Hunting Bayou, and then we also looked at Cypress Creek. Mm-hmm. And we noticed very different patterns. In some areas it expanded very deeply, in some it didn't. And, the why of it is kind of eluding to us right now. So that's what
you're being a good scientist, a good engineer. You're not speculating.
Right, exactly.
But I'm going to give you a question where you can speculate again. Okay. So in some areas we saw the flooding expanding. We know that about living here. But some of those areas actually had major flood control interferences put in place. I don't know what the right terminology is for that. What did you think was why when have we done it wrong? Have we put too much money into some areas that then didn't benefit us, but we were still moving ahead with these kind of projects?
That's a complicated question. I think that the first thing that I would say is that the problem is of a large magnitude. We live in a coastal plain, and we are very, very close to sea level elevation, and we're very far inland. So when it rains, it's basically like a bathtub. The water doesn't have anywhere to drain
Right.
out. So just going off of that, it's very difficult for us to manage flooding. Did we do it wrong? Did we do it right? I'm not 100% sure that that's the right question to be asking. The question that we should be asking is, where do we go from here? And I think that
well, those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it. And so my concern here is that we come with a mindset of how to fix flooding.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have been, these concepts may have been developed 10, 20, 30 years ago. Meanwhile, we're laying more and more concrete every day, and we have less places for water to go, and more trees are ripped out and gone. So you're creating this environment, like you said, where we've been increasing the bathtub while we're using maybe old home improvement methods to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, with what you're seeing in your research, that we can then highlight these kind of interferences don't really benefit us. And we have to start looking at it that way. We have to say, just because you think you do this and this, look at the data we're discovering. That isn't helping.
So that's an interesting question, and I think I'll answer it by starting to look at some of my other research. The last chapter of my dissertation looks at misaligned incentives across flood timescales.
You say it so much better than I do. Those were the words I meant.
And there's definitely a lot of research that is being done in that space. I think
so misaligned incentives, that just means that government is encouraging me to do something that is bad?
Not the government.
Not the government. Who's encouraging me to be bad?
Well, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Say that you move somewhere and start developing.
Okay.
And unfortunately, you have a phenomena that you hadn't observed before, like differential land subsidence. That's a new one that's come up here in Houston.
Okay, so that's when land is sinking.
Correct.
At different rates.
Yeah, but we hadn't observed it before. So
Yeah.
how do you balance that short-term incentive to continue developing that economic activity with that longer-term incentive of handling this geophysical issue you hadn't realized before? That's the area that some of my research looked at. Ultimately, we're developing tools to quantify these things. The answers of what to do about it, those are policymakers that need to address those
But at
questions.
least then people will have the tools to know this chunk of land might sink.
Correct. Or,
Okay.
there are certain factors that are influencing flooding.
Such an engineer's answer.
But let me ask them.
I am one, I'm sorry.
Kind of the most generic of all questions is, should we even be building here? It doesn't seem like we have found a piece of land to build a city on that made sense to put a city here. So from what you're seeing, should we still be developing this area, or should we be thinking, we'll preserve what we have, but we should be developing somewhere else?
So I don't think that my research directly tackles that question. What I can tell you is that in the 1900s, early, we had Isaac Storm, and it destroyed Galveston, and that's why Houston is where it is today. So this has been a perpetual issue in this land that we've tried to live in for so long. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be a right answer. I think it's just going to be a more continuous answer. And we have some great resources around here that are able to address these flood issues. Harris County Flood Control District, the Texas Water Development Board, FEMA. All of these government agencies are doing tremendous amount of work, and they're really starting to look at these questions.
Are they looking at your research?
I'm sure they are.
After they hear this show, they will be.
Yeah, hopefully they will be. Yeah.
Well, the paper is relatively recent, and I did just finish my PhD last year. So,
Congratulations.
Excuse me, doctor. I didn't realize who we were talking to here.
No.
Okay, so is one of the reasons that Houston is so hard to figure out as far as flooding goes that we are just incredibly flat? We are just tabletop flat?
I would definitely call that the fundamental issue that we're running into.
And so like a difference of an inch or 2 inches makes a big
Maybe
deal
not
with
an inch,
flooding?
but
6 inches? The Houston Heights towers, 8 inches above the rest of the city?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of issue that we run into, right? Where does water go? It doesn't. It pulls up. And, I live in Houston. I see all the road construction that's going on. A lot of that flood control work is actually just, putting in bigger pipes so we can drain out. So yes, that's kind of the...
Okay. And so would your research show us, which places are maybe 8 inches safer as far as flood level?
I'm still trying to get
specifics here.
Yeah, sure, and I hear that.
Okay,
I think that the fundamental question that my research is trying to address is where is the change happening? And once we start looking at that, we can determine why the change is happening. But right now, we're still in the first part of that question.
Just got to figure out what and where.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to AI for a minute here.
Sure.
And AI, if I understand it, the way AI works, and very rudimentary understanding of it all, is it looks for patterns. It finds ways things happen, and it can predict things because of everything it has seen before. My question is, when you're dealing with Mother Nature, have you found that there is a pattern of how Mother Nature is behaving, or is all of the impacts that we've been making on the world around us altering established patterns of behavior, weather patterns, things like that, that then make predicting flooding and where the water pools and all that very hard to find a pattern in, or can AI compensate for that?
So there's like 15 different questions in that one.
I know, I love a big complicated one.
But I will point out very briefly that, AI in general has a tremendous capacity to predict, even more so than we already do. So I would say to your question that AI is a great tool for us as, research scientists and engineers to try to improve how our predictions work. In terms of, how modern nature works and all of that, we need data that sometimes isn't collected, sometimes it's hard to get, and that's how AI would be able to account for those. But even if we don't...
So wait, does AI just figure out, oh, this was probably the flood level at this bridge monitor that I don't have? Or?
So that sort of task would actually
AI
be
making a guess?
done what's a conventional hydraulic model that we would use to address that specifically. Where AI is very useful, for example, is if you're trying to do an immediate forecast of, hey, we don't have time to do detailed modeling and spend 8 months, we have a storm coming in. That's the sort of thing that AI is very good at. And there are research teams. There are a lot of... The National Water Center in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is doing a lot of tremendous work in this space as well.
Wow. Okay, so you've got all this information. You've got these new digital data sets, as we call them. What should city planners and policymakers be looking at in your research to help understand who we are right now and what's going to happen?
Well, I'm not particularly self-aggrandizing. I don't want to say that they should just look at my research. I'm not the only one doing this.
Yes.
In fact, there's...
But if they have your research in front of you, where should they be focusing their attention?
As they're looking at research in general.
Sure.
Including yours.
I think that one of the key aspects that a lot of government agencies are looking at presently is exactly what we're talking about, really, AI. There's a big question mark about how we can use it to improve our models. The other piece is that researchers and engineers are trying to come up with are holistic plans. The Texas Water Development Board, for example, is coming up with regional flood plans on a statewide basis. So trying to make all of these efforts more coordinated and cohesive is an effort that is currently being done by statewide and even federal agencies.
Because we can't figure out flooding just in Houston, and if you're trying to figure out flooding all across Texas as well as droughts and loss of water, that's
Yes, it's
big.
A complicated issue. Yes, and that's why there's a ton of very powerful and talented engineers working on it.
So I'm going to go back to your study again and try and get an answer on this one. There's going to be there's a summation. There's the points that should be noted first and foremost in the entire work. What are the things that stand out to you? I'm going to go back to policymakers. If they were to read at least that part of your dissertation, what should they be taking away from it?
Yeah, I think that the changing nature of flooding is a key aspect of it that has been understudied. It is why we wrote the paper. It is why we started digitizing the maps. So that would be a useful piece for them to examine. The other piece is the misaligned incentives from my dissertation as well. That's also a very interesting piece of it that, I think would be worth taking a look at. And then kind of how we were just mentioning, the technology, AI, there's a lot of very powerful developments. We started with lasers, and I want to bring it back to that a little bit. We have all of these emerging remote sensing technologies like LiDAR and aerial imagery that are very powerful to answer these questions. So I wouldn't presume to be the be-all and end-all of engineering, but I think that those are areas where policymakers are currently looking.
Well, Francisco Haces-Garcia is a former University of Houston doctoral student, I should say doctor, and research assistant at the National Center for Airborne Laser Mapping. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing this with us. And I hope people read your study, and I hope they learn something from it, and I hope they understand what more can be being done.
I am going to go check out which parts flood more.
Yeah, she's going to find that answer, yeah.
And there are a lot of resources for you to do that.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah,
all right.
awesome.
Thanks a lot, Fred.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to be talking with our good friend, Chef Chris Shepard. He's going to be here telling us about a new venture he's working on. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Meet Damola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Damola to learn more about his ride.
On the next Fresh Air, the new tech right and its alliance with the Trump administration. We talk with George Packer about his Atlantic article focusing on how tech venture capitalists who are heavily invested in AI and cryptocurrency are influencing Trump's policies related to their own investments. Trump has made billions on crypto. Join us.
You can listen to Fresh Air tonight at 8.
Philadelphia, PA, the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, that statue of Rocky, and a high unemployment rate.
When I do an orientation for the individuals to get a workforce advisor, the room is packed. So I know the economy is pretty bad.
I'm Kai Rizdal looking for a job in the city of brotherly love. That's next time on Marketplace.
Marketplace is coming up at 6:30 this evening on News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Texas Mutual Insurance Company, a workers' compensation provider that's been caring for hardworking Texans for over 30 years. More at texasmutual.com/expert partner.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and guest host Lisa Gray.
Houston-based chef Chris Shepard has quite an impressive resume. In addition to being a James Beard Award winner, he's also a TV host, restaurateur, and author, just to name a few of his successes. And now he's trading in his culinary jacket for a microphone with his new series, Breaking Bread. The new series, which is being presented by the Hobby Center, Chris sits down with creatives and thinkers who influence culture for unscripted chats about the experiences that shape them. And we're going to find out what experiences have shaped him. His series will continue with Shepard's conversation with the Avett Brothers and cellist Joe Kwon on Saturday, May 16th. To tell us more about the new series is Chris himself. Chris Shepard, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
For folks who want to join the conversation, you can do that, 713-440-8870. So you came into the studio, sat down. First thing Lisa asked right off the bat, how is it different than cooking? You're out there talking now.
It's a better way of life, for sure. I don't get to work at 9 a.m. and leave at midnight every day. And so there's that. But it still satisfies me as far as like the conversation and learning from people has always been a thing for me anyway. So
as a chef, you were always out there asking questions. You were going to all these ethnic restaurants around town. I always loved learning where you were eating.
Yeah, I love the why.
The why. You were asking how they do it and what's behind it, the traditions.
Yeah, it just kind of transferred straight over from that into, having these conversations, the TV show, all of it.
Talk to me a little bit about, for you in the very beginning, what was it about a kitchen that you found comfort in?
I wasn't doing anybody's taxes. It was like, I'll never forget, like.
Had you been doing taxes?
No, never. I grew up in Tulsa and was at Tulsa Junior College, and I just didn't click, right? It didn't click with me. And all my friends were like, you should just go to business school. And I'm like, what am I businessing? And they're like, I don't know, you'll figure it out. And I was like, yeah, I need more definite answers than that. And I took a job in a kitchen and as a dishwasher, and then moved into the kitchen, and I fell in love with it. And it just was like creative, but also like repetition, and trying to, every time you do something, trying to make it better than the last time. And understanding techniques, and I think I fell in love with that. And then when I moved to Houston, I planned on moving back to Tulsa, and that just didn't happen.
Same thing with me. When I came here 30 years ago, I thought, 3 years max. I kept all my packing boxes. I was going to need them again when I moved. And when I finally moved into my townhouse a couple of years ago, I threw away those boxes.
Yeah.
But I had them for like 27 years with me. But the thing that's also similar in our paths is I went to school to be a music video director.
Nice.
All that equipment, lighting, cameras, all that. And I guest hosted on a radio show one day. And I was like, I can just talk to people. I don't need to bring all of that along.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that's a little of your transition from, you don't have to worry about all of the work of the kitchen and all of that. You can sit down and just have conversations.
Yeah, like you just, when we walked in, you heard the things with the rain and like that. Before, I would have to start thinking about, all right, what's business going to be like? How's my staff getting home? Like all of these things that kind of flow into that. And now I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to rain? It might. Like, I don't have those thought processes of like, okay, what's the ballet going to look like? How many umbrellas do they have? Like all of the thing, what are we going to do when people walk in the restaurant? Are they going to, do we have towels for them? Like whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, Houston rains. But
So are you doing that now with the show, with the interviews?
No.
People? No?
No.
You're just the talent now.
Yeah,
you walk in and somebody's already figured it out.
But more than just the talent, because over on the TV end of it, you are still sharing your knowledge of food. You are still getting quality experiences in front of people, just in a different way.
Yeah, it's. I think that people sometimes don't truly understand the people that are behind the restaurants, and that's kind of where the show, I wanted it to be. Not so much. I don't look at the show as a food show specifically. I want it to be more of a people show, where you will have the attachment and the association to the person that we're talking to when you go into the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because if I sit and show you 30 dishes, you're not going to remember any of them. But if we talk about 1 or 2 or 3 things, but you have an attachment or association to the human being and the place, then you feel a little bit more secure about what you're doing.
How connected were you personally with the meals you sent out? And not each and every plate, but when you were designing a menu, how much of you went into it, and how much of it was anticipating what they wanted as opposed to what you wanted to put out?
I learned that like you still have to cook for people, right? I can't just cook for myself all the time, but I think that's where a lot of it was based into. It was like, as the kitchen crew of who we were, I wanted to focus the food into what we believed in and what we wanted to do, and the stories that we were told through the foodways and the way that we procured those ingredients.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to know my grit person. I wanted to know like my fish person, my crabbing person, like my cattle farmers, my pig farmers, the person that was raising my greens. I wanted to know them and have an attachment to them. And I wanted our teams and our staff and the guests to know them as well.
And in a sense, you get to still do that now through both the show and doing the live stage thing. I do a lot of those stage conversations, and they're a thrill to do every time. How do you prepare for them?
It's pretty easy. The reason I got into it is a few years back, it was probably 21, Yotam Ottolenghi was coming through town, and it was a big, big deal. And somebody reached out to me and they're like, hey, would you like to host this conversation? I was like, yeah, I've never done that before. And this is going to make me really nervous because I don't really know this human being. We had never met. And it's kind of a funny turnaround here. But so I wrote a list of questions. I bought all the books and I started learning more about the person. And I wrote all these questions down. And we met backstage beforehand. He was like, just relax. Like, just have a good time. You ever done this? I was like, no. He's like, all right. And oddly enough, the Avett Brothers were touring through Houston.
Oh.
And so I asked Joe Kwon,
who you'll be talking with,
to be my guest, to sit with my wife in the audience, and we go out to dinner afterwards. And so he he said, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. And went through the whole conversation with Tom, and he was like, you should really think about doing this more. He was like, this is the most comfortable I've ever felt on a stage in one of these.
Wow.
And it's just the way that you handle the questions, and you think from a culinary side, or you think from just like the why, right? It goes back to the why side, and you ask these questions that most people wouldn't ask. And I find that very amazing. And so that's kind of where the whole breaking bread came from.
And explain breaking bread. Get tongue-tied there. Happening at the Foundation Room over at the Hobby Center. Yeah. Explain what's in that series, because that's not just food talk.
No, so the Founders Club, they have a whole series of different events that happen, musical performances, but I came in to help consult on the menu.
Which is great, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, I've eaten a lot of it over many shows.
Well, it's like, they asked me, they're like, well, we just kind of want to, we want the bar program and the food to reflect what we want to do here. And I was like, okay, well, let's just make it fun and entertaining.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, that's like, I always say you don't really remember exactly what you ate or exactly what you drank, but you remember the experience. And if you can create that experience, then you are going to be good at what you're doing. And so it was like, let's create great cocktails, let's create a fantastic wine list, and let's create a fun, engageable menu that people can sit and eat and drink and watch a show, whether it be music or a conversation that I'm doing, like whatever it may be.
So how did you get up on the stage, out of the kitchen and onto the stage there?
Well, I've done a few of them since, but it became hey, I'm looking for a home for this, and they were like, we want to do this. And our first one, the first conversation I had was with Bun B. And over the years when I've done these conversations, I literally will sit down day before, day of, and write about 10 questions.
Okay, and was that while he was becoming a restaurateur?
Bun, this was just a month ago. So,
okay, all right. So
but
you're talking.
I had 10 questions. I will generally ask them if they want to see them, and they're like, no, I'm good. Just I'll ask anything, I'll answer anything, and it's like, I think I got through 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because the conversation just goes from what you write down, you can ask the question, then all of a sudden it turns into 50 other questions that happen, and it just becomes a free-flowing conversation.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to know some of the restaurant stuff, but I really wanted to know how he got started in the music career and how that transitioned to where he's at now. And for Joe, it is almost the same, because Joe's come and cooked at a Southern Smoke
I didn't know
festival
that.
with us. Yeah, he came and was the sous chef for Jason Stanhope back in 22.
So a cellist with a side of
serious
cooking?
And that was kind of the caveat to this, is that I know Joe through friendship and food, not music.
Right.
Okay.
And so the music came after, when it was like, oh yeah, I'm in the Avett Brothers, and I was like, oh. Okay. I mean, yeah. And so now we started listening to music, we go to the shows, but Joe is a very personable, sweet, kind human being that I can learn. Sometimes he's pescatarian, sometimes he's vegan, but it generally always bases into Korean food. And so I get to ask those questions about what he's eating, what he's cooking on the road. I think it's kind of very, what got him into being a cellist, because that's not what he started his career as. And I'll save that all for the show. But and how does he maintain that lifestyle and having his wife and child, and how does that work?
We got a comment that came in online. Hi, Chris. Great job on your show. I do miss your food, but watching you enjoy what others are doing is a joy. The work you do with Southern Smoke is amazing. Really quick, in 15 seconds, Southern Smoke.
We provide access to financial grants for unforeseen crises and access to no-cost mental health care. And people in the food and beverage industry.
Yes. And the event happens?
We have 2. We have Decanted, which is our new wine auction that happens in the end of March. And then the festival is at the first week of October, which we have, I think, 70 chefs coming in from around the country this year.
Chris Shepard is a Houston-based James Beard Award-winning chef and TV host. We thank you for coming and joining us today. Chris Shepard's conversation with cellist Joe Kwon for his Breaking Bread series will take place on Saturday, May 16th. For more information, you can visit thehobbycenter.org. Coming up, we'll continue discussing today's top headlines as we recognize the 30th anniversary of a popular Houston bar called notsuoH. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Good Reason Houston. Houston's future is in a classroom today. Through research and collaboration, Good Reason Houston brings the region together to help more students graduate ready to earn a living wage. Learn more at goodreasonhouston.org.
Today we'll see clouds, maybe some sunshine later, the high up around 84. Mostly cloudy, 76, the low at 79. This is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Welcome to Hello Houston. Coming up this hour, the Galveston County Sheriff's Office has announced increased patrols and a zero-tolerance policy for Jeep Weekend 2026. We'll discuss this and more of today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manouse.
And I'm Lisa Gray, the op-ed editor at the Houston Chronicle. We'll also talk with a researcher at the National Center for Airborne Laser Mapping, who'll discuss the use of AI in flood mapping.
Plus, Houston-based chef and TV host Chris Shepard tells us all about his new live conversation series, Breaking Bread, which is being presented at the Hobby Center.
And, as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Voters are heading to the polls in Ohio and Indiana today for primary contests. NPR's Stephen Fowler reports previous decisions made about redistricting will play a role in key races.
After an effort to redraw the U.S. House map in Indiana failed last year, President Trump now seeks to oust several incumbent Republican state senators who helped defeat the plan. In Ohio, new House maps were required by law. Those minor changes make re-election slightly harder for two Democrats and easier for one Democrat. While the primaries for Ohio's Senate and governor's races aren't competitive, Trump's record low approval ratings, coupled with Democratic enthusiasm, has both parties looking ahead to an expensive clash in November's midterm contests. Stephen Fowler, NPR News.
Michigan is holding a special election for state Senate in the 35th district, which determines control of the state's upper chamber for the remainder of the year. Democrats are attempting to retain their slim majority. Georgia officials are attempting to block the Justice Department from getting hold of the full roster of thousands of volunteers and staffers who worked the 2020 election that President Trump alleges was rigged against him. The DOJ's request went public yesterday when Fulton County officials filed a motion challenging the subpoena. The Trump administration's view appears to be that the U.S. ceasefire with Iran is still holding, despite the latest clashes. At the Pentagon today, General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said Iran has fired at commercial vessels 9 times and seized 2 container ships since the start of the truce. Kane also says Iran's recent acts of aggression are below the threshold of restarting major combat operations. President Trump at the White House a short time ago.
Nobody's going to challenge the blockade, and I think it's working out very well. We're going to see. I can say this, Iran wants to make a deal.
President Trump taking reporters' questions after signing a proclamation restoring the Presidential Fitness Test Award. It is getting more expensive to use residential air conditioners in the summer. NPR's Rebecca Hersher reports the cost of cooling an average house has risen by more than a third since 2020.
The cost of cooling your house is rising because electricity prices are going up.
That's because of a combination of higher fuel costs, increased electricity demand from AI data centers, and inflation. A new report from the National Energy Assistance Directors Association warns the cost of cooling an average home in the United States will be about 8% higher this summer compared to last summer. The high cooling costs come as millions of people in the U.S. are already struggling to afford basic food and transportation, with high gas prices and grocery prices straining family budgets. Rebecca Hersher, NPR News.
This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A father is dead, his son under arrest after the teen put a chokehold on his dad, which resulted in the man dying at a nearby hospital. Harris County sheriffs were called in just before 6 o'clock this morning to a home in the Katy area. Upon arrival, deputies found the son holding his father in the chokehold. The man was pronounced dead on arrival again at a hospital. The 15-year-old teen was then taken into custody. A new survey from the University of Houston's Hobby School shows Senator Mays Middleton leading Congressman Chip Roy by 9 percentage points in the Republican primary runoff for state attorney general. But Mark Jones of Rice University's Baker Institute says Roy still has a path to the nomination.
If there's one liability that Middleton has, is that more than 1 in 4 Republican primary voters simply don't know enough about him to have an opinion. And if Chip Roy can color that opinion in a negative way, that could cost Middleton votes and allow Chip Roy to close the gap that presently separates him from the Texas state senator.
The poll shows Attorney General Ken Paxton is also leading Senator John Cornyn by just 3 percentage points in the runoff for U.S. Senate. The margin of error in that poll is also 3%. In sports, the Astros lost last night to the LA Dodgers 8-3, the final. Houston now 8 games below 500 to start the year. They have 14 wins, 22 losses. They'll play the Dodgers again tonight at 7:10 at Daikin Park. Checking your weather, it's going to be partly sunny today with a high of 85. Cloudy tonight with a low of 75. On Wednesday, a 40% chance of thunderstorms with a high of 86. Right now, overcast 79 degrees on the UH campus. Get more news and information. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include United States Postal Service, dedicated to putting reliability at the core of USPS Ground Advantage to help businesses operate smoothly. More at USPS.com/Ground Advantage.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manouse.
Ernie Manouse
and
Lisa Gray sitting in with me today. How are you doing today?
It's fun.
Yeah,
this
having
is
a good time?
great job you have, Ernie.
Well, you know what? You're having fun with it. And
Yeah,
I can
you have
tell.
to do all the work.
Well, no. You've done
I'm
your
the
prep
guest.
too.
You have to be nice to me.
You know what? The honest answer is I don't have to be nice to you. I just like you. So it's easy to be nice to you. See?
Okay.
But I try to be
But look how nice you're
respectable
being.
to everyone.
Yeah.
Respectful. But it's easy to be nice to you. Tell everyone what it is you do when you're not sitting here with me trading compliments.
I am the op-ed editor at the Houston Chronicle.
For people who hear that, what does that mean?
So op-eds are opinion pieces that are written by people who do not work for the Houston Chronicle. So I decide which ones we run. I edit them so that they're as appealing as possible to readers, so that they're factually correct. I'm looking for things people want to read, that they care about, that maybe shape conversations in Houston.
What is, we always do this when we talk about pet peeves or Good, Bad, the Ugly over on Craig's show, and it's always these traffic. People are always upset about traffic, flooding, the weather, the traffic, the garbage pickup. From where you sit, what is on the mind of Houstonians these days?
Recently, we've been thinking a lot about Camp Mystic and that flooding out in the hill country. That's, I don't know if that's dying down now that Camp Mystic won't be opening for the summer.
But the hearings that just happened, too, they just were heart-wrenching, too.
Right. And people care about that.
Yeah.
People know. A lot of schools have someone who died, so you've got an entire school that's involved. And people have strong feelings on both sides. Many think the camp traditions should continue this year, but others are just absolutely not. That it's still dangerous or we're just not ready.
Yeah. In general, when you look at the swath of correspondence that comes into you, can you characterize who Houston is?
Oh, are you talking about people who are writing to me directly or?
Writing into have their opinions heard.
I think most Houstonians only write in when they are outraged about something. Like your callers, they're often amused or they want to chime in on something. And, when I'm getting a letter to the editor, it's usually someone who's angry about something.
Well, I love our callers. I love our listeners. I love our YouTubers over on YouTube. If you're not a member of that group, you want to jump in over there. There's always a great conversation going on there. And that's what I often say. People are like, oh, how much do you have to screen the calls and stuff? And Garrett, one of our producers, does most of the screening of the calls. And in general, we don't have to screen much. People are very respectful. They come in. We invite all opinions across the board. We have a couple rules. We want truth telling.
Okay, important.
Difference of opinion is absolutely fine.
Yeah, that makes it more fun.
Right, that helps us. And for the most part, I think our listeners are folks who are here to learn something or share what their experiences have been. And it's always fun to hear it. It's different walks of life, different experiences, but it's pretty much a great group of folks out there. So if you're listening, I consider you a member of a great group of folks, and so we really enjoy it. So call, share, 713-440-8870. That's the best way to reach us. Today on Today's Show. You would edit that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Coming up on Today's Show, we're celebrating 30 years of a truly one-of-a-kind Houston institution. Have you heard of notsuoH? It is a bar in downtown. I wouldn't even just say a bar. I think that's too limiting. It's a location in downtown Houston.
A coffee place.
So much goes on there. They're celebrating 30 years, and we're going to be talking with one of the co-founders and the owner. Jim Pirtle is going to be here in just a little bit to share how they're celebrating their 30th anniversary of this extremely unique, very Houston thing. And for those of you who didn't get it, notsuoH is Houston
spelled backwards.
There you go. But we're not going backwards. We're going forward, which means we're going into the headlines of the day. Lisa, take us in.
Okay. I am starting with a Houston Public Media story by Andrew Schneider. With less than 2 weeks to go before the start of early voting in the Texas primary runoff elections, the Republican Senate contest is tight. A new poll from the University of Houston's Hobby School of Public Affairs shows Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is in a statistical dead heat with U.S. Senator John Cornyn. The survey shows Paxton leading Cornyn 48% to 45% among likely voters in the GOP primary runoff, with 7% undecided. It looks like Paxton has picked up most of the voters who had been supporting Wesley Hunt in the first round of the primary. And generally, Cornyn is falling behind in almost every demographic category except for one notable exception. Likely Republican primary voters with a 4-year college degree prefer Cornyn over Paxton by 10 percentage points, while those without a 4-year degree favor Paxton over Cornyn by 17 points. What are your thoughts on the poll? Do you believe Paxton can pull off the upset? And if he does, can he beat Democrat James Tallarico in the general election? Call us. Talk to us. 713-440-8870.
I think it's very fascinating. There's a lot in here to dissect and pull apart. And so we're, of course, interested in your point of view at 713-440-8870, as you just heard. What's interesting to me is it shouldn't be of any surprise to anyone that Wesley Hunt's voters are going toward Paxton because you have an incumbent running and the people in the earlier vote chose not to endorse the incumbent. So they went to a different candidate. So more than likely, they do not like the work the incumbent is doing. Therefore, they would shift over to the other winner in that race or the other top vote getter. And so that's, from a polling point of view, that's a pretty common, usual thing to happen.
Yeah, like I am so fascinated by John Cornyn because it doesn't seem like he is a wild-eyed liberal, but he is an old-school Republican. He feels like one of the last adults in the Senate who is willing to cross the aisle to like work with people to say bring home things for Texas.
It's funny. He got the ire of the president, even though the president has come out and said they were both good guys at one point or another during the campaigns. And we were waiting to see who he would endorse. And he has held his endorsement back because I'm sure he does not want to pick someone who doesn't win. And this is such a close race. He doesn't want his name tied to one over the other. But I think which it's funny because Cornyn has only broken with the president in very few instances. And yet that's enough to say he's not MAGA enough. And Paxton, who has had his share of controversies surrounding him, does seem to be coming across as the more hard-nosed MAGA, and so he gets that support.
What?
But primary voters and general election voters are very different people. And that's the problem. We talk about this often, that to win the primary, you have to go to the far extremes of your party, both liberal and Democrat, both Democrat and Republican. But that's not the ones who tend to, at least in the past, tend to get the general vote. It depends who shows up. That's at the end of the day. Be registered, get out there and vote, have your voice heard. Then your other part of all of this is, well, what about Tallarico? What's going to happen here? Can either one of these folks beat Tallarico? And my answer is statistically, of course, either one of them can beat him, because no matter how many times we rant and rave about how the state is turning purple or possibly even going blue, traditionally, we stay red for the last so many years. Can this be enough of a groundswell behind one candidate on the Democratic side to sway enough people in the middle? Can there be enough dissatisfaction? I still don't know.
So, I am so fascinated by this. I don't have the kind of buzz that we did. Remember when Beto was running for Senate and people were so excited, there were giant rallies. Tallarico's got a little of that. I don't feel it on the ground as much.
And I think it's intentional. If I had to guess, I would say because there is a runoff in the Republican side, not in the Democratic side, Tallarico's holding his war chest close because he knows he's going to have a big fight coming up once they pick.
Them destroy each other.
These two are fighting among themselves. Stay out of it right now. People really aren't engaged in the upcoming November election yet anyway. So let this happen, and then you hit with your blitz. That's what I think is happening. I have no inside information to say that is or isn't, but that makes sense to me. Now, had he been in a runoff, had Tallarico been in a runoff with Crockett, going on right now at this time, you would have seen a lot more of him because he would have, but he's got his lane now.
Yeah.
Sit pretty, wait and see how the Republicans fight it out, and then we move forward.
And the National Democratic Party is loving him. I saw speculation recently that, if he's elected, maybe we should get him to run for vice president, which seemed to me to be severely jumping the gun.
I think that the Democratic Party needs to learn from the Beto O'Rourke experience, how quickly Beto was in a presidential race after not even winning the Senate race in our state. And he was the great hope of the Democratic Party so fast, too fast, didn't build a coalition. And of course, he had a misstatement about guns. And in today's day and age, what do you do when you've said something like that? And they can play that loop over and over and over again. So it's a different time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Some comments that are coming in. Noah says, I honestly like Cornyn or Tallarico. Tallarico preferred, never Paxton. He's a never Paxton voter. Chef Rob adds in, Republican candidates race to the bottom. Anyone that's MAGA is not a desirable goal. So interesting points of view there on that story.
Yeah.
713-440-8870. What are you thinking? Let us know. We want to know. You were going to say, I felt like I cut you off.
I was going to say that Democrats have made no secret that the Republican they want to run against is Paxton.
And which would, because of the two, Paxton Cornyn, I think Cornyn, as you were mentioning, feels more centrist, even if he isn't necessarily centrist. And so that can bring in, if Republicans only have Cornyn to pick, they'll either sit home or they'll vote for Cornyn. If Paxton is in there and you're opposed to Paxton, that may be your only candidate, but you're not going to get any of the independents. You're not going to get any dissatisfied Democrats, really. So it's a numbers game.
And also, Paxton has all these scandals that are so
Right.
fun to talk about. You
Well,
know, if you're
maybe
a Democrat,
fun for some,
you want to
very
get out there.
unfun for others to talk about, that's for sure. Let's go to the phone, 713-440-8870. Hudson is on the line from inside the loop. Hello, Hudson.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well. What's on your mind?
Well, just talking about the Cornyn race in general here, I always find the polls to just be a little bit confusing. Wondering about the disparities of what y'all think about the college-aged vote going with Cornyn and or the college grad vote going with Cornyn and the non-college grads going with Paxton. As a former Cornyn staffer, actually, it just blows my mind that the polls are coming out and showing this. I just wanted to kind of just see if you thought that the concentration is because college-age grads are going to be more in the urban areas, or is it a rural-urban thing, or what's the perception there?
Interesting that you asked that, and I'm curious with you mentioning that you'd work for Cornyn. What's your perception of it?
My perception is that it's an obvious character race here, and that Senator Cornyn just clears Paxton in all regards. And whenever you see these polling, it just reminds me of previous races, 2016, 2020, where the polls are wrong. It seems like everyone that I talk to, and I'm not involved in the campaign in any way, it just seems that it's so clear that the Cornyn voters are just outnumbering the Paxton voters, and everywhere I see except for the polls and social media.
Interesting.
I have been wondering how reliable polls are right now. I was at the unveiling of the new, the most recent Kinder area study, and they mentioned that to get a high response rate, they paid people $15 a pop to answer their questions, you know, and I don't think political pollsters are doing that. You know, it's just really hard to get people to answer their phones now.
So one of our producers gets to have a drink now because I'm going to mention something they say I mention all the time. I started in this business at NBC in election and news polling. So I'm all about polling and fascinated by all of this polling stuff. And so, Hudson, my take on it is stereotypically looking at the heavier MAGA voter, they tend to be, from what I understand of that group, less college educated, maybe more rural when it comes to supporting the conservative Republican point of view, the MAGA point of view. And so that maybe it's not true of every MAGA voter, but I think stereotypically it falls into it. And I think it may be urban versus rural, but I do think it's more advanced educated. And so if you have a 4-year degree or higher, you look at things with different perspective maybe. And therefore, they may have a little bit more research behind what they're saying. So they may look at the work of what Cornyn has done. They may be more familiar with his record, and therefore it may sway them toward that. Does that sound reasonable to you?
I think that sounds pretty reasonable, but at the end of the day, it's just all about turnout. Wondering also just what is the turnout going to be between the college-educated and the non-college educated? Is that enough? Are there enough college-educated Republican primary voters that are going to actually show up? I think that might be a deciding factor.
Yeah.
Do you think Cornyn will pull from the center? Do you think he has that strength?
Of course. I think that's kind of his entire reason that he's had such a successful career so far, and I don't really see that kind of coalition just dissipating. With a guy like Tallarico, who's also going to be trying the same thing, I think it's likely that that's just going to be the battleground, is that kind of that reaching that median voter.
Hudson, thank you very much for calling and sharing with us today. Pleasure talking with you. And call us back. Let's see after we're done with the runoffs. Let's see where we're at, and let's chat about where it goes from there. 713-440-8870. John from Sugar Land is on the line. John, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that Tallarico may have a chance to win this race in November, regardless of the candidate from the Republican side. And it's because I think he's addressing the issues that can concern most Americans, especially younger ones, regardless of their political stripe. He's more of an economic populist. He certainly takes a moral high ground. He knows more about Scripture than any Republican. My thoughts on that are, you'll never hear a Republican ever cite Matthew 25:31-46, the least of my brethren. because if you read it carefully, they're all going to go to the eternal fire. But that's another story. I'm also encouraging younger people that this is the chance for you to have a chance at success in your future. Vote for the youngest candidate, regardless of the political party, because the existing status quo in the Congress is one that's controlled by money, by PACs, for example, that are sometimes foreign countries.
Mm-hmm.
And the media is also bought and paid for because they like all of that revenue that the GOP, maybe not Houston Public Radio, but the GOP
Thank you, John.
pays to the legacy media because of the 5-4 GOP justice ruling in Citizens United, and make corporations people, their money free political speech, and that can be spent in unlimited amounts to deceive voters and make incumbent lawmakers cower to their demands. So we're living in a country right now where money controls, and the money is basically concentrated in the upper incomes. Yeah. And that's why we have a president who gave the ultra rich a $5 trillion tax cut. What impact do you think that takes upon our deficit spending? $5 trillion.
John, it's a lot to digest there. I will sum it all up into a very simple statement: vote. Everyone needs to get out and vote. Regardless of which party it is, you need to be engaged and you need to be registered. So make sure you're registered. Make sure you vote when you have those opportunities. I know if you live in certain areas in our region right now, you feel like every 10 minutes they have another election for you to vote in. But you know what? These impact everything we do. When we talk about this actual race for Senate, it's all going to come down to, as we've heard people say, turnout.
Yeah.
Who goes to vote? In the smaller elections, it's much more important your vote is there. And in these larger elections, if you are supporting a candidate that you believes the same way you do, and they don't have to be a perfect candidate, but they have to align more than less with what you believe, go and vote for them. It's easy to do. It may be a little time consuming when it's election day, but with early voting, while we still have it, it makes everything easier. Thank you very much, John, for sharing with us. Thank you, Lisa, for sharing all your points of view on all of this. And thanks to all of you who chimed in on it. We've got a lot more of our show still to come today, so don't go anywhere. Coming up on Hello Houston, we're celebrating 30 years of a truly one-of-a-kind Houston institution. Coming up right here on Hello Houston. This is News 88.7.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Matters is your essential daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston.
These counties have been growing a lot.
I think what has been holding us back is the fact that for 2 legislative sessions, schools didn't really get an increase in funding.
If the storm surge comes up the ship channel, that's a nightmare.
There's an acceptance at cons that you don't get elsewhere. No judgment, and it's beautiful.
I'm Craig Cohen. Join us for the next Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV 8 at 7, Finding Your Roots welcomes actor Michael Douglas and writer-director Lena Dunham. Then at 8, it's the final episode of Ken Burns' The American Revolution. Tonight on TV 8 or stream online.
Support comes from JAMS, introducing mediator and arbitrator Paul D. Clote, providing alternative dispute resolution services in complex business and commercial disputes in Houston, Austin, and Central Texas. Paul D. Clote. More at jamsadr.com.
Support comes from the Houston Symphony, presenting Grammy Award-winning violinist Joshua Bell performing The Elements in Concert, featuring a sound and music experience and works by Wagner and Strauss. This week, May 7th, 9th, and 10th at Jones Hall, HoustonSymphony.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from CertaPro Painters, offering residential and commercial painting services, from color consultations to full project management. Estimates and more at CertaPro.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and guest host Lisa Gray.
Today, we're celebrating a truly one-of-a-kind Houston institution, notsuoH. The art space / bar / venue marks 30 years of creativity, community, and just about everything in between. What started in the mid-90s as a coffee shop inside a forgotten downtown building has grown into a living, ever-evolving art space. Joining us now are co-founders and owners, Jim Pirtle and Missy Bosch, the artists behind the vision. To look back now at how it all began and what's ahead for notsuoH as it enters its next chapter. Jim? Missy, welcome to the program.
Hi. Thank you.
If you want to join the conversation, give us a call, or if you want to share your memories of notsuoH, give us a call, 713-440-8870. I'm looking forward to this chat. I have been to your place a number of times. I have always found it interesting. I've always found something different there, something unique, something that I never noticed before. How do you define notsuoH?
A social sculpture.
Oh,
I
that's
like
good.
that one.
Rick Lowe, Project Row House, we were friends. Nestor Topsy, The Hive. We were all artists at Commerce Street, and we were at the age, or the right age, where we could get real estate for very cheap because of the oil bust. And so all of us did artistic interventions in real estate.
And
wow.
For folks that don't realize it, when you moved in downtown to the building you're in, downtown wasn't the way it is today.
No. Just La Carafe, Warrens.
I just wanted to say, I think, thinking back on this 30 years, we were looking at Houston history about our house in 6th Ward, and we saw pictures of old buildings in downtown. And so, let's go drive downtown and look at the old buildings. And they were shuttered and boarded up and run down. This is before Rice
Downtown
Hotel.
was scary. There was
and we
no
were
light
just
rail.
like, let's save one of these. I don't know. I was 24. He was 34. We're like, the world's your oyster.
And
We're
y'all,
like, it can't cost more than a house, right?
y'all bought it for basically the price of a house, right? You got $20,000
did.
and you took
We
out a
did.
loan for
$20,000 and about unpaid taxes.
Okay.
When the building was
14 years
starting
of
to
taxes.
have a leak, and so the owner was in New York. He had no tenants, and the rest of the block was closed down porno houses, and the only other neighbor was a Hispanic transvestite bar run by a Korean. So that was it. And then otherwise on the other block was La Carafe and Warrens.
Okay.
And it was empty.
Yeah.
And now just for people to place it all, talk about what's there today.
On Main Street, the city has just gotten a grant from the government and has completed a promenade. Yeah. And so there is no car traffic on Main. There's the rail line, which was not there. There is now this promenade. There are contiguous buildings from the beginning of the 300 block to the end of the 300 block. All the buildings are operating and functioning as businesses, except for the former Mia Bella, which has just gone through a several $100,000 renovation to the front, and he is looking for a tenant but doesn't want to do a restaurant or bar, so the owner is waiting. So you basically have on a Friday or Saturday night hundreds of people on the block coming to all these open businesses. So it is not empty, it is filled with people.
Also bars and restaurants on down Main Street, where they have it closed.
Also, all the bars are owner operated. They're not changed, so everyone is its own unique vision. So you're not coming into cookie cutter, you're coming into individualistic expressions of whatever that bar owner's doing.
You mentioned the rail going through, and that when the rail came through, for the few businesses that were still in operation, it was a nightmare for them. You folks weathered it. Yeah. How did you get through that period?
We were able to put a dumpster on the on the dirt while they tore up the road, so we could empty the building of trash.
Okay, so
we weather whatever. Yeah. I also look back and I'm like, we've just weathered everything, and we've gone through a lot. We've had a child, a daughter. Our marriage didn't really make it, but we're still good friends, obviously. Yeah, we just, times were tough. I've worked at Starbucks and dog walking to make money, and I've bartended at the bar. And
ownership is power.
Yeah, I think ownership.
And it was always the parachute that if anything ever really happened, we could always sell the property.
Yeah, so pretty much our only payment is the taxes. So we don't really have a house payment or building payment. So that is really a secret.
We also had a tenant who ran a very successful bar because we had 2 storefronts that came with the building.
Yes.
And so Dean's, in the original incarnation back in 1999, was and there was a big boom. Everybody moved from what was Shepherd Square, which was where the people hung out. They all moved down to downtown. There was Solero, and there was Mia Bella, and there was Spy, and there was a nightclub explosion downtown around just before the rail happened. And then that tenant paid us very nice rent. And then when the rail happened, it shook out a few businesses, and then everybody moved to Washington. The Fickle 500, as they call them, moved to another block. And so then the tenants and the businesses closed, but we just kept going.
I mean, y'all seem like this very stable vortex of weird, which if you had asked me like 30 years ago if notsuoH would be one of the last things standing, I would have thought you were nuts.
So what's left from 30 years ago that when you were here, name a restaurant that you went to in the 90s, early 90s?
The bars down there are still Warren's and La Carafe, right?
Brazil.
We'll be honest.
Brazil, you're right. Another artist sort of space.
Is Mai still around?
Yes. They got
I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah. Like, we had the building for sale for 5-10 years.
Yeah, we gave up.
Okay, and you weren't offered a gazillion dollars?
No, not enough.
Okay.
If we have got offers, we didn't really get any. And then right after the pandemic, we were like, well, we're getting older. Let's just sell and go live off and our daughter broke into tears and said, no, I want to run this place forever. We're like, okay, go run it.
So then let me ask this question
we're gonna
I believe she is now, we mentioned Dean's. Mm-hmm. Dean's is now under new management. What's happening there?
Yeah, Martha.
Your daughter.
The owners did not close down Dean's. They retired. They're 65, as I am. And bar owning is a young man's game. And they are moving to Mexico and doing other things. So the rumor that Dean's closed is not true. It took 3 days and basically no changing of anything other than furniture swap out, menu changes, adding dishwashers, and just it's still Dean's, and it's open now, and it's a bar. And my daughter, who started bartending at 18, now turns 29, is a very experienced, savvy businesswoman and bartender, and is taking it over.
Oh, wow.
And she's running
She's
Dean's,
hired a manager to run it. And then she's kind of managing him, but he's our friend Harrison.
I am not allowed to touch the aesthetics. There is no taxidermy, no mannequins.
It's nothing weird. Okay, so for people
it
who've
is
never
its
been
own identity,
to
and I am not to.
Okay.
That notsuoH is separate.
Oh well, let me just.
Sorry.
For people who've never been to notsuoH, what does it look like?
Oh, how would you describe that?
What does it look like from the outside? What does it look like when you go in?
And it looks like an antique store, honestly. A lot of people think it's an antique store.
People see the home of Easy Credit out in the
it's got
neon
old
out front.
furniture, taxidermy, funky paintings, a lot of local artist paintings.
Mm-hmm. Some of them disturbing,
yes.
you know.
Six mannequins,
we've kept a lot of this.
Yeah.
The
it looks like a place where people make trouble.
The old parts of the building are still, as much as we can save, you know, old columns, old.
Do
you still have all the shoes upstairs?
All the shoes
There's
are upstairs.
like thousands of shoes from a previous
They're slowly
tenant.
getting less, but yes, there's a few
While
up there.
I say that you're celebrating your 30th, put on your earphones. We have a call coming in. I want you to be able to hear that. But in addition to all of this, they've got an entire slate of events happening starting on Wednesday night to celebrate the 30th anniversary, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But right now, if you want to call and join the conversation or even share your memories of notsuoH or downtown Houston during that changeover period of the last 30 years, give us a call. 713-440-8870. Greg is on the line from Spring. Greg, what's on your mind?
Well, hi. I just wanted to share that I did a photo shoot inside notsuoH, and you guys were so gracious to let me and my model come in there.
Thank you.
And I was floored as I didn't know that was there, because I was like, oh, downtown is so cliche. Everybody wants to go downtown. It's like, okay, let's find somewhere else. And then and then I didn't know notsuoH was there. I was walking in, and I was like, my eyes was looking left, my eyes was looking right, my eyes was oh my God, look up there, look over here. And it's like, we spent an hour in there, and we got so many beautiful photos. I really would love to share those photos with you guys. I can make some prints so you guys can put on the wall. We were on the stairs, on the second level, just everywhere, and it was just great. And then we even went outside to the light rail station so we can get the easy credit and everything else in the background. Oh, it's just beautiful. That whole spot is just a photographer's dream. That is my go-to spot now.
Thank you, Greg. I think that's a perfect description. He did
the
perfect color for that. I think that's how a lot of people feel when they come in.
Greg, thank you for calling and sharing that with
Thank you, Greg.
with us. What's fascinating to me is when you're inside, every time you think you've seen what's there, you find something new, something different. A dome you can go in, a bar up on an outside terrace. It's full of surprises. Do you look at it as a holistic entity, or are you always looking at it, the different pieces and what you can change in different areas?
There was an architect in the other night from New York who was an architect for the UN. Like, what? Okay. And he does a trip with his children to see a Yankees game. So the Yankees were in town. And it's that expected nothing from Houston. And his comment to me was, this is done by one singular mind. So to him, there was a coherence and a continuity of thoughts, and though there's many different environments and it feels like a dreamscape where suddenly the dream is changed into another completely different atmosphere, to him he could see a follow through of the space that no, it's the same person doing this all the way through.
Well, following it through to 30 years, you've put together quite a program for the next few days there with music and film and experiences. Tell me a little bit about what we have planned.
I have a list too. You can see the list on notsuoH.com.
What are you most excited
Which is Houston
about?
spelled backwards
Houston
for those
spelled
trying to figure it out.
The incredible filmmaker Walt Ziprian is going to have a movie.
I heard he's going to be screening a film there tomorrow night as
Wendy
part.
Chicago.
Wendy Chicago is the name of the film. It's part of a series of films by local filmmakers that you're going to show.
Jim's going to premiere one of his films on Friday.
I'm premiering. I worked with Nestor Topsy and Daniel Jerzyk. You know Nestor?
Yeah,
You know,
another crazy man from Houston's past and present.
And we worked for 2 years on a film where we met like once a week and shot and just sort of rambled. And over 2 years, finally a 20-minute film has come out of it.
Well, I want you to go through the list of some of the things that we're going to see. So, but put your headphones on right now because we have another call coming in. And it's 4 days. They're calling it notsuoH's Dirty 30 Anniversary Festival, 30, Flirty, and Thriving. It's 4 days of art, music, vendors, performance, film, and installations to commemorate 30 years of notsuoH. We'll get into that in just a minute. But right now, Rachel is on the line from the Heights. Rachel, what's on your mind?
Hey, y'all, I just have a story about downtown Houston from that era.
Uh-huh.
It is very, very Houston. The middle of the week, late at night, boyfriend and I have been to La Carafe. We walked down to Allen's Landing. That's before it was all built out, you know. It was just go down to the foot of... It's quiet, it's dark, you can hear animals kind of eating each other in the bayou a little bit. And, you know, like, nobody lived downtown. There was that one light in that one window of the Rice Hotel, you know, that you could see. You remember that?
Yeah.
So we're standing around, and suddenly we see some headlights bobbing down, and they're coming down that grade, you know. Jump out of the way. It's this pickup truck, and it comes down to the landing, and it screeches and stops to a halt. And these two guys jump out, and they're, you know, they got mullet haircuts, and they're wearing wife-beater shirts and jeans, and they're jumping up and down, pumping their fists in the air, whooping and hollering in the dark. And one of them says, "This is it. This is where it all began." And they whooped and hollered some more, and they jumped back into that truck and up, screeched back up into downtown, into the darkness. And that was it.
That was what downtown was like 30 years ago.
Rachel, thank you for that story. And as characters as they were correct. They were at Allen's Landing where it all began. Thank you, Rachel, for calling. 713-440-8870. Honey is on the line also. Hold on one second, Honey. Honey is calling us from the Heights, and Honey's going to share her story with us once I'm waiting for Jim to get his headphones on. All right, Honey, what's on your mind?
Hi, love. I just wanted to say thank you for providing ever-changing space, just as we are as humans. Every time I go, it's a new experience, it's a new place, and I really appreciate that because it's always growing, always changing. There's nothing like it, and I've been going there for quite a long time, and I will continue to. And just thank you for providing a space where I can go by myself and have a wonderful experience.
Honey, thank you very much for calling in and sharing that. Yes, definitely
I've
always
been
an
getting that
interesting
a lot
space.
lately. A lot of people, thank you. And I'm like, no, thank you. They're like, no, thank you.
Okay, I've hinted at it and everything. Take me through some of the events that are going to happen over the next 4 days. Yes, we know the film by the great filmmaker Walt Cyprian is going to happen.
Auteur.
Film auteur. What else is
Films
happening?
on Wednesday. They'll be projected in different places of the building and Dean's. And we're going to highlight Dean's a lot. Thursday, a band that I love, Hot Club of Cowtown, is coming. They played for an art show for me 20-something years ago, and they're a lot more expensive now than they were back then. But they're friends of mine, and that'll be a lot of fun. Sort of Western swing, Bob Wills kind of music.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And some other bands that night. We're going to do a craft. We're going to make buttons.
Hillary York that night.
Yeah, Hillary York. I think she's a local.
Austin.
Yeah, Austin. We're going to do a craft thing where we make buttons, and then bands on Friday.
Yeah.
And
Free Radicals and Loretta Kovacek.
Yeah.
You know her?
Crazy piano player.
She's a piano player that's played at Carnegie Hall, and crazy Croatian woman.
I have to apologize.
And
I don't know
band,
all the things
the
going on
Slavs.
because we have a beautiful person that we've hired to do the event and to do our social media and stuff named Julia, and she has been working. So shout out to her. She's been working really, really hard to get all this. So I'm like, I don't know. Ask Julia. So,
Well,
we commissioned
Wednesday,
a mural.
yeah.
That's being painted.
A lot of visual stuff going on.
Outside? Inside? Okay, wow.
Patio and downstairs and in the storefronts. And
Wednesday night, there'll be film, poetry, and more. Thursday
Bucky
night,
Ray.
there's music, live performances, interactive crafts. On Friday, more performances and art installations. And on Saturday, bands, and Jim's movie premiere.
and
That's
Mythic-
what it tells
Mythic
me on
Market.
the note.
Mythic Market as
Mythic
well.
Market.
Wow.
All of that's coming up. Thank you both. Thank you for
you.
giving us something uniquely Houston that we can truly
sweet.
enjoy, unlike anything else. And when people say, in today's day and age, it doesn't matter what city you go to, you see the same thing over and over again. Not true. If you go to notsuoH, I don't think there's anything else like it anywhere,
Thank
and
you
we're
so
lucky
much.
to have it. Jim and Missy, thank you for coming in. They're the founders of notsuoH. They are celebrating all of this coming up. You can find out more by going to notsuoH.com. Correct?
Thank you.
There we go. Coming up, more of our show. We're going to be talking about Salon 180 Angels. Stay with us. We'll learn more about that in just a minute.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
Today at 3.
Here and Now brings you the latest news from around the country.
I have a life brimming with people who've made different choices, and I've never tried
and my personal life to impose my choices on them.
Seems to me that people are being responsible, and yet it keeps spreading.
I've been door knocking and making phone calls and working in offices. I'm willing to do anything for this man.
Hear the latest news as it develops on the next Here and Now from NPR News.
Here and Now, every Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. on News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston System, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
Support comes from the Houston Symphony, featuring an interstellar adventure with Holst's The Planets and Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto. Also, Jennifer Higdon's Blue Cathedral. May 15th, 16th, and 17th at Jones Hall. More information at houstonsymphony.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from electricityplans.com. Helping Houstonians find electricity plans based on home energy usage and rate comparisons. Enrollment details and more at electricityplans.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manouse and guest host Lisa Gray.
For our final segment of today's show, we are putting the spotlight on a local nonprofit that aims to help people, both young and old. Salon 180 Angels provides free hair care services to immobile seniors, while also empowering underserved youth through beauty education. Founded in 2008 by Houston entrepreneur Moe Vickers, the nonprofit was born from a desire to make a difference in the community and help support its residents. To tell us more about the nonprofit and its story, we are joined by Salon 180 Angels founder Moe Vickers. Moe, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming.
So tell me a little bit about the idea of what exactly it is that you folks do and where the idea came from that this was something that was necessary.
Well, the idea came from wanting to help because I'm a very helpful person. So I see the need in all areas, in old and, younger. Even with me going through some disadvantage as a youth, I felt the need to put myself in a position when I could to make it better. Mm-hmm. So what I do now, what we do, it kind of expands across because we also we teach them how to skate. We teach them music.
These are the youth. Okay, not the
We
elders.
have some older people that want to learn too.
They want to learn how to skate.
So
All right.
we teach them how to skate.
Yeah.
We teach them how to do music, how to read music. Then they go to Bible study. They have to go to Bible study.
Uh-huh.
And then, if they need tutoring for after school, we teach them that. Now, say, for instance, they're having, some of my groups that come, there was a bunch of kids that had cancer. We taught them how to DJ. It's just some fun ways to get the learning environment across. Now, with my because we help with cancer patients and HIV, what we do is we make wigs because Salon 180 is a whole brand. It's a hair salon, a skating ring, a food, everything is 180.
So
But
180
it's different
the whole.
entities, but it's under the nonprofit. I'm a 501c3 registered with the IRS. What I've been doing along the years is just finding ways to make it creative for them to stay out of trouble and to also enjoy learning different avenues, and fun with it as well. So I just kind of combined real life with the passion and made it something that I can help in.
An interesting aspect that I don't think people often think about. If you take the time to think about it, you realize the importance of it. But when it comes to beauty, when it comes to being styled, presentable,
Yes.
how important that is for people who feel less than in the moment or can't accomplish something, how important that kind of recognition is.
It is very important because that is a part of your esteem. Either you're going to have a high self-esteem or a low one. And the way you look it contributes to how you're going to feel about it. Because if I get up in the morning and I look I'm going to feel like that. But if I get
Yeah,
up
that's
and
happened to me.
Yes, and I get up and I got my hair done and I got I want the world to see it. So here go the selfies. I want to say you feel better about yourself, so that's what I like. I want to see the best in you, and whatever I can do to do it, that's what I've done.
And I think also people lose sight of the fact that we, like what you were just saying, we all feel better when we get fixed up.
When we get fixed up.
When we look our best.
Yeah.
People that are going through issues, going through difficult and trying times, often the last thing they think about or they have the time for is that aspect of their world.
Which is true.
Without realizing how important that is and just giving you back, like you said, the self-esteem, the ability to feel better about yourself, and to find some joy in otherwise very bleak situations.
Absolutely. It just kind of, and that's where the skating came in. Because we do roller skating. We're a dine-in skating rink. It's such a vibe. They was like, okay, I really feel bad today. But when I came in here, I was like, okay. Then they get excited because they see Breezy, and they were like, oh, I thought I was complaining about something. He can hear us talk, and he's happy. He's DJing to the beat. It's just a whole environment that gives us another understanding of being energetic and having fun.
For folks to understand, you've brought a guest with you here who is your DJ, but he is also, as you said, mute and deaf.
He's deaf. He can't talk or hear.
And yet he is your DJ.
He is our DJ. He is our house DJ. He handles the kids. Like, because of the nonprofit organization, I have... And he's an adult, so we cater to all ages. Like, it's just something to keep us, because everybody's going through something. Yeah. And this is something that kind of soothes the situation. We come in to have fun. We have great food, great environment. It's just something healthy to do. And we're really trying to get you an emotion of wanting to do more and be more happy, during the times that you're doing it.
Yeah.
How do people come to you?
Right now, word of mouth has got us here. It has got us here.
Okay, so they hear up and they just show up at the salon/roller rink?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
yes,
and
because
you're just open all the time?
It's open.
Yeah.
Yes, we're open 7 days a week. We come in, like, we have the kids' hours are before 9. So, like, Friday, I'm a vendor for Harris County, so I get all the elementary, high schools, and they have events at the skating rink. So we have one coming up this Friday with an elementary school, 302 kids. So most definitely we have, incentives to give them and things when they come out. But it's such a learning experience, and they are so excited about learning music, because learning music, skating, eating, and having fun. I think they forgot that, hey, I was mad a few minutes ago. Yeah.
Right.
So it's a great combination of what I combine.
One of our HuTubers over on YouTube said, dude, this place sounds awesome.
If you go read our reviews, we are awesome.
We've talked a lot about the children end of it. Talk more about the seniors and what they take from this experience.
The seniors, what we do is we may be a group of us, and we'll go see who we can help.
And I love that part before you go on, is that you go where they're at.
We go where they're at.
You don't have to put the added burden on them and them coming to you. Go on.
No. Because some people are immobile. And because of that, like, we also have a medical part that's a board of this that my doctor, Varef Cooper, is a part of. He's one of the members on the nonprofit because of the give back we give in that area. So it's just like a combination of who we need to help. We go help them to see what we could do. We feed them. We may, it depends.
So what does it look like for a typical person? You just show up in a van?
I just show up. We just show up.
Do they know you're coming?
They don't. Sometimes it depends on. It depends on. It depends on who referred me.
Yeah.
But if I see the need.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to embarrass people.
Right.
So I probably need to do more pictures and videos. But I don't want. I'll be like, look, because this really came from my heart. Like, what I'm doing really came from my heart. I haven't been funded or anything, and I'm really registered with the IRS. Like, if I see the need, I just was taking my own money to do it.
So you just drive over,
I'm
scissors
driving.
in hand,
if they need to eat, if we need to give them
food?
blankets, if we need to do wigs because they were, that's something that's got them down and don't want to move forward. We may have I've had all kind, and it's a easy get up and move for me because I have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going? What's your goal? What's your plan here?
My goal is to go from city to city, state to state. One thing that I offer that makes it fun for the children is I have a portable skating ring. So we bring the skating ring to you.
You're like an onion. Every time I peel back a layer, there's something else going on underneath.
It's like, because in the Bible, in Ecclesiastic, it says that you have to have 7 ventures, maybe 8, because you do not know what this world is going to come to. So I made sure that I tapped into each one of them.
You got more than 7.
I made sure that I tapped into each one of them. But it's a passion for me. I like to help. I'm like that person that go take an old house and I want to see it. I want to watch me build it from ground up. And I guess I took that into people as well too. I just want to see us, what you look like 10 years from now. Because my brand has been around for in September it'll be 21 years. And my salon has been open because it's a hair salon, a skating rink, a food, a clinic, a music studio, all in one. We're located, right here in Houston, but we can come to a city near you.
Well, Mo, with all of that going on, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you're very busy, but we want to thank Moe Vickers, is the founder of the Houston area nonprofit salon 180 Angels. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing all that with us today.
Thank y'all for having me, and I'll see y'all soon.
You will. And that brings us to the end of our show. We want to thank you for watching and listening to Hello Houston, and especially to you, Lisa Gray, for sitting in with me today.
Thanks for letting me do
joy.
it.
Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow with more conversations. We'll also be discussing how you can protest your property taxes. We'll have the answers for you right here on Hello Houston tomorrow. This is News 88.7.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from DePelchin Children's Center. May is National Foster Care Awareness Month, and DePelchin is celebrating the foster parents who ensure that Houston area children are part of safe